Hey, for showing the deed after my aunt claimed my house belonged to everyone? My name is Diana. I am 34, and for the last 8 years, I have been the person in my family who gets called when something expensive breaks. I am divorced. I work as a medical billing supervisor outside Pittsburgh, and I have the kind of budget spreadsheet that makes people laugh until they need help figuring out why their escrow payment jumped. I am not rich. I am just the person who reads the whole bill before paying it. The main relationship in this story is with my dad's side of the family, especially my Aunt Marlene and my cousin Travis. They have always been loud about family loyalty, but very quiet when an invoice shows up. The house at the center of all this was my dad's old place, or at least that is how everyone talked about it. It is a 3-bedroom brick ranch in a quiet suburb, built sometime in the late 70s. It features a cracked basketball hoop over the garage, a stubborn magnolia tree in the front yard, and a backyard patio where every family argument somehow started politely and ended with somebody slamming a screen door. My dad's name was Harold. He was the kind of man who kept coffee cans full of screws, saved every Allen wrench from every piece of furniture he ever assembled, and believed a house could be held together with patience, duct tape, and a little frustrated muttering in the basement. When his health started declining, I became the person handling the house. First it was small stuff. I would stop by after work to take the trash cans to the curb. I would check the basement after heavy rain. I would call the HVAC guy when the furnace made a noise that sounded like a raccoon learning the trumpet. Then it became bigger stuff. Property taxes through the county treasurer. Homeowners insurance. Utility bills. Pest control. Lawn service when Dad couldn't push the mower anymore. A plumbing invoice after a water line cracked one January and turned part of the basement into a cold little swamp. An $8,700 roof repair after a storm dropped a maple branch through the back corner of the house. Aunt Marlene always had commentary. "You know how these old houses are," she would say while standing in my dad's kitchen with a paper plate in her hand. I would wait stupidly for the offer. Even a small one. $20. $50. "Let me call someone. Do you need help cleaning up?" Anything. Nothing. Instead, she would sigh and say, "We all loved your dad." Which was true, but love did not pay the deductible when the maple branch came through the roof. After my dad passed, the family started using a phrase that made my shoulders tighten. The family house. First, I let it slide. Grief makes cowards out of people in strange ways. I didn't want to be the woman correcting everyone at a funeral lunch. I didn't want to say, "Actually, it is not the family house," while people were eating baked ziti and telling stories about my father teaching them to ride bikes in the driveway. And honestly, part of me liked keeping the house open. I liked that cousins still gathered on the patio. I liked hearing someone laugh in the kitchen where Dad used to burn toast. I liked walking in and smelling dust, old wood, and faint motor oil from the garage. It made him feel less gone. So when people asked to store a few boxes in the garage, I said yes. When Marlene wanted to host Easter there because her dining room was too cramped, I said fine. When Uncle Ray, Marlene's husband, asked for a spare key just in case, I gave him one and immediately regretted it. Family house started sounding less like a memory and more like a claim. But I still didn't push. I told myself I was being mature. I told myself keeping peace mattered. I told myself not every hill needed to be the one I died on. Then on a Wednesday evening in late spring, I stopped by after work to water the backyard plants and found Travis's pickup in the driveway. Not just visiting. Parked like it belonged there. I walked inside and almost tripped over a stack of cardboard boxes in the hallway. Laundry baskets sat against the wall. A black duffel bag blocked the linen closet. The bathroom smelled like someone else's coconut body wash, and Carmen's skincare products were spread across the sink where my dad used to keep his denture cup and a jar of loose change. Travis was in the kitchen, eating cereal out of one of my bowls. Carmen, his girlfriend, came out of my dad's old bedroom wearing socks and holding a diffuser. For 1 second I just stared. Dad's quilt was folded on the floor. His nightstand had been pushed into the corner. Carmen had put a little tray on the dresser with perfume bottles and hair clips. One of Dad's framed photos, the one of him holding a fish at Lake Erie, was gone from the top of the dresser. I looked at Travis and said, "Why are your boxes in my hallway?" He didn't even look embarrassed. "Relax," he said around a mouthful of cereal. "Mom said it was fine." Carmen gave me an awkward smile. We are only staying until we get back on our feet. I turned back to Travis. No one asked me. He leaned against the counter like I had interrupted his evening in his own apartment. You weren't using the place full-time. That is not the point. It is empty space. It is my father's house. He laughed under his breath. Diana, you are acting like you own the place. The room went very still. Carmen looked down at the diffuser in her hands. Travis kept eating like he had just won something. I said, that sentence is going to age badly. Then I left before I said something loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I called Aunt Marlene from my car. She answered on the third ring with her bright public voice. Hi, honey. Why is Travis living in Dad's house? There was a pause, just long enough for me to know she had prepared for this. He is not living there. He is staying there. His boxes are in the hallway. Carmen's things are in the bathroom. They rearranged Dad's bedroom. Well, nobody was using it, she said. I use it. I maintain it. I pay for it. She sighed like I had started reciting a grocery list during church. Diana, Travis needs family right now. He needed to ask. You have done well for yourself. You have a steady job. No kids at home. You can afford to be generous. That was Marlene's favorite trick. Making my stability sound like a debt I owed everybody else. This isn't about generosity, I said. He moved into my father's bedroom without asking me. Your father's bedroom, she snapped. Not yours. I gripped the steering wheel. Marlene, your father would hate seeing you act this cold. That hit the old bruise. She knew it would. For years, I had folded whenever someone said what my dad would have wanted, because I didn't want to be the daughter who failed some imaginary test of grief. But that night, sitting in my car with Travis's truck in the driveway and my father's quilt on the floor, the sentence didn't work the same way. I said, nobody is taking anything from you. I almost laughed. He is sleeping there without permission. Family doesn't need permission to take care of family. Then why does family only show up when the house has air conditioning and a working fridge? She hung up. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched the situation get worse in small, insulting ways. Mail for Travis started arriving. Not one letter but multiple. A phone bill. A bank envelope. A package from Amazon with Carmen's name on it. The pantry had their groceries in it. My cleaning supplies were shoved under the sink behind a leaking bottle of blue sports drink. Someone changed the shower curtain. Someone moved Dad's hallway photo into a drawer with old batteries and takeout menus. Then the Wi-Fi password stopped working. I texted Travis. Did you change the Wi-Fi? He replied, yeah, old one was annoying. I typed, you don't pay that bill. He sent back, it's not that deep. Carmen posted a picture from the kitchen on social media. I don't even know why I looked. Maybe the universe wanted my blood pressure to have cardio. The photo showed new curtains over the sink, a little vase of grocery store flowers and the caption, finally making this old place feel like home. Apparently, love looked a lot like moving my dad's picture into a drawer. The first time I heard Travis mention renting out the small bedroom, I thought I had misunderstood. I was on the back patio checking the hose connection because it had been dripping. The kitchen window was cracked open. Travis was inside talking to Carmen. Nate said he can do cash every Friday, he said. We just put him in the back room. Carmen said, is Diana going to care? Travis laughed. She talks big but hates drama. Once Nate is in, she won't make a scene. I stood there with water leaking onto my shoes, listening to my cousin plan to rent a bedroom in a house where he had never paid a utility bill. Later that same day I found the list. It was on the kitchen counter, written in Travis's messy handwriting on the back of a pizza flyer. House plan. Primary bedroom for Travis and Carmen. Back room to rent to Nate? Garage clean-out sale? Fix the deck eventually. Ask Mom about the Labor Day barbecue. The words garage clean-out sale were underlined twice. That was when the temperature inside me changed. I had spent years thinking they were careless. That list made me realize they were organized. The garage still had Dad's military footlocker, fishing rods, old Steelers jackets, boxes of family photos, a plastic bin full of handwritten recipe cards, including his chili recipe that said, More garlic than Marlene thinks is polite. There were also tools I didn't care about and broken decorations nobody needed, but they weren't Travis's to sell. They weren't even mine in the emotional sense yet. I hadn't been ready to sort through all of it. But I was absolutely certain I was not letting Travis turn my grief into a Saturday yard sale. That night I went home, changed into sweatpants, opened my laptop, and pulled up the county recorder's website. The internet can be a terrible place, but that night the county parcel search tool was my emotional support system. I searched the address, then the parcel number. Then I downloaded the recorded deed PDF. There it was. My name. Diana. The date of transfer was years before Dad died. Back when he was still mentally sharp enough to argue with cable companies and remember everyone's birthday. He had transferred the house to me properly, recorded with the county, not hidden in a drawer like some dramatic secret. I knew this. I had been there. I had signed what needed signing. I had paid what needed paying. But seeing it again that night felt different. I pulled out my fireproof box from the closet and spread everything across my kitchen table. Deed, property tax receipts, homeowner's insurance declarations page, roof repair invoice, plumbing invoice, utility records, photos from before Travis moved in. Then I found an envelope tucked behind the closing documents. My name was written on it in Dad's handwriting. I sat down before I opened it. Diana, if you are reading this because everyone is behaving, then put it back and go have a sandwich. If you are reading this because Marlene has decided my house belongs to everybody, keep reading. I know my sister. I love her, but I know her. She treats every shared thing like a buffet and every boundary like a personal insult. I transferred the house to you because you showed up. Not just for the good days. For the ugly ones. You showed up when the pipes burst. You showed up when I couldn't get out of bed. You showed up when the taxes were due and when the basement smelled like mildew and when I was too proud to ask. A house can hold memories, but memories are not a title. If Marlene ever tells you this house belongs to everybody, remember who showed up when the pipes burst. Love, Dad. I cried so hard I had to put the letter down because the ink blurred through my tears. Not because I was scared. Because my father had given me permission to stop apologizing years before I understood I needed it. My first instinct was to drive over there and throw Travis's cereal into the yard. Not his belongings. Just the cereal. I am not proud of how specific the fantasy got. Instead, I made coffee at 11:40 p.m. like a woman making several poor sleep choices, and I started building a folder. The tabs were boring and beautiful. Deed, taxes, insurance, repairs, utilities, photos, messages, and unauthorized occupancy. I printed screenshots of Carmen's post. I took screenshots of Travis's texts. I saved the group chat where Marlene had written that I was being territorial about Harold's place. I printed the photo of the house plan I had taken before leaving. The next morning at work, one of my coworkers noticed me staring at my computer without blinking and asked if I was doing okay. I said, "Do you know any attorneys who enjoy family nonsense?" She gave me the number for Evan, a real estate attorney she had used during a boundary dispute with a neighbor who kept moving a fence line by inches like he was colonizing a continent. Evan was calm in a way that made me realize how not calm I had been. I brought him copies of everything. He flipped through the folder, asked direct questions, and did not once gasp dramatically, which I appreciated. "So they moved in without a lease?" he asked. "Yes." "Did you ever accept rent?" "No." "Did you give written permission?" "No." "Did they receive mail there?" "Yes." He nodded. "Do not change the locks today." I must have made a face. He said, "I know. But we want clean hands and clean documentation. Being right is helpful. Being right on paper is better." He explained that Pennsylvania law and local practice were not something to freestyle based on anger and internet comments. No illegal lockout. No tossing anyone's belongings onto the lawn. No cutting utilities. No threatening texts. No showing up with a garbage bag and a speech. We prepared a formal notice requiring unauthorized occupants to vacate. He tailored the language to the situation and told me to send it through certified mail and email. He told me to keep copies of everything, document the property condition with dated photos and videos, and stop debating ownership with people who were committed to misunderstanding it. Let the paperwork do what arguing won't, he said. So I did. The notice went out by certified mail. I kept the tracking number. I emailed copies to Travis and Carmen. Evan sent Aunt Marlene a separate letter with the deed attached, because apparently nothing ruins a guilt campaign like a PDF from an attorney. Travis called me 6 times that night. I did not answer. Then the text started. Travis, you really got a lawyer over family? Marlene, your father would be disgusted. Uncle Ray, can everyone calm down? Travis, this is insane. We are just using empty space. Marlene, you are making your cousin homeless. I replied once. Diana, my attorney has sent the ownership documents. Please direct further questions to him. Marlene, you cannot use paperwork to erase family. Diana, please don't confuse access with ownership. Then I muted the chat. A week later, Marlene announced she was hosting a family barbecue at the house. I knew exactly what it was. It wasn't about burgers. It was a shaming circle with potato salad. Uncle Ray called me the morning of the event. Let's just talk this out like family, he said. That is what everyone says right before they ask me to ignore paperwork. He coughed. Your aunt is upset. I know. She feels blindsided. She was not blindsided. She was contradicted. There was a pause. Then he said quieter, just don't make it ugly. Ray, I said. I bought the hot dogs for half the ugly events in this family. I am done catering them. I still went. Not because I thought they would be reasonable. Because Marlene had built her whole argument in public, and I was tired of answering it in private. I arrived with a plain manila folder and a calm face I had practiced in my bathroom mirror. The backyard looked exactly like every family barbecue we had ever had. Folding tables on the patio. Paper plates bending under baked beans. A cooler full of soda and beer near the chain-link fence. Mosquitoes circling the patio light even though it was still bright outside. Someone had moved Dad's old porch chair again to make room for a lawn chair with a cup holder. Marlene stood near my father's grill like a queen beside a throne. Travis smirked when he saw me. Carmen looked away. A few cousins whispered. One of them gave me the tight little smile people give when they want gossip but not involvement. For the first 30 minutes I said hello, took a soda from the cooler and listened. Marlene floated from group to group, acting like the victim. I never thought Diana would treat family like tenants, she said loudly enough for me to hear. Travis added, some people get one steady paycheck and forget where they came from. I looked at the hot dog in my hand and decided it deserved better company. Then Marlene raised her plastic cup. I just want to say something, she announced. Of course she did. Everyone quieted because my family will ignore direct communication for years but become perfectly attentive for a speech. Marlene put one hand on her chest. This house has always been a family place. Harold would have wanted it full of love, laughter, and the people he cared about. This house belongs to all of us, and nobody gets to play landlord over family. A few people murmured agreement. Travis looked at me like he had just watched his lawyer deliver closing arguments. That was the moment I stopped hearing a toast and started hearing a warning. I set my cup down, walked to the patio table and opened the folder. I had copies, not originals. Evan had specifically said not to bring originals to a barbecue hosted by angry relatives, which remains excellent legal advice. I laid out the deed first. My name was highlighted. Then the county tax records, showing payments made by me. Then the homeowner's insurance declarations page with my name on the policy. Then the roof repair invoice. Then the plumbing invoice. Then the utility payment history. Then Evan's letter. The patio got quiet in pieces. First the cousins. Then Uncle Ray. Then Carmen. Travis was the last one still making noise, and even he stopped when Ray muttered, "Don't." I looked at Marlene. "Show me where your name appears." Her face went red. "Excuse me. On the deed. On the tax bill. On the insurance policy. On one roof repair invoice. Anywhere." She stared at the papers like they had personally insulted her. "This is not how family handles things," she said. "No," I said. "This is how owners handle unauthorized occupants." Travis stepped forward. "You blindsided us." I turned to him. You moved into my father's bedroom without asking me, changed the Wi-Fi password on a bill I pay, discussed renting a bedroom for cash, and wrote garage cleanout sale on a list like my dad's belongings were inventory. Carmen's head snapped toward him. Garage sale. Travis's jaw tightened. It wasn't like that. I pulled out the photo of the list and placed it on the table. Carmen stared at it. Her face changed in a way that made me almost feel sorry for her. You told me your mom had a share, she said. Travis rubbed the back of his neck. It is complicated. It is actually one page, I said, tapping the deed. Marlene pointed at me. You think paper matters more than family? When family is trying to rent out my father's bedroom, yes. Someone behind Uncle Ray made a small sound that might have been a cough or a laugh. Marlene's eyes filled with tears, but they were angry tears, the kind meant to recruit witnesses. Your father would be ashamed of you. I pulled Dad's letter from the folder. Not the original. A copy. I had gone back and forth on whether to bring it, but the second she invoked him, my decision made itself. No, I said. Dad used legal paperwork to protect his house from exactly this. I read only a few lines. It was enough. A house can hold memories, but memories are not a title. If Marlene ever tells you this house belongs to everybody, remember who showed up when the pipes burst. For once Marlene had nothing ready. Travis reached for the papers. Uncle Ray caught his wrist. Don't, Ray said sharply. Then quieter. People are filming. I looked around and realized two cousins had their phones out. Not because they were noble. Because my family's moral compass has always improved when there might be a video. Carmen stepped away from Travis. Did you know? She asked him. He didn't answer fast enough. She laughed once, but there was no humor in it. I wouldn't have moved my stuff in if I knew this was like that. Travis said. Babe, come on. No, she said. Why didn't you tell me her name was on the deed? Marlene snapped. Because this family does not reduce everything to documents. I said, you reduced it to access, storage, free housing, and cash rent. I am just using the correct nouns. The barbecue ended badly, but not explosively. That almost made it more satisfying. No one threw food. No one had a dramatic public meltdown. People just slowly stopped eating. A cousin who had once asked me to store a broken treadmill in the garage suddenly remembered she had somewhere to be. Uncle Ray started folding chairs without making eye contact. Carmen went inside and began packing a tote bag. Travis followed her, whispering angrily. Marlene sat at the patio table staring at the documents as if they might rearrange themselves into her version of the truth. After the lawful notice period ran and after Travis and Carmen vacated, I met Mr. Bell, the locksmith, at the house on a gray Tuesday morning. He was in his late 50s, wore a faded pirate's cap, and asked for proof of ownership before touching the door. I handed him the deed, my ID, and Evan's letter. He looked everything over and nodded. Family situation? Is it that obvious? He gave me a sympathetic look. Most people don't apologize to a door before changing the lock. I hadn't realized I had touched the frame and whispered, Sorry, Dad. Mr. Bell changed the front and back deadbolts. I updated the alarm code. I took dated photos and videos of every room. I made an inventory of items left behind and boxed them according to Evan's instructions. Nothing went onto the lawn. Nothing got lost. I was done being careless with myself, not with the process. The primary bedroom looked tired. The furniture was pushed wrong. There was a ring on the dresser from Carmen's diffuser. Dad's quilt was back on the bed, but folded badly. I fixed it. Then I stood there for a minute and breathed. The group chat flared up again that night. Marlene, I hope you are proud of yourself. Travis, you made people homeless. Congrats. Uncle Ray, this went too far. A cousin named Beth. I am confused. I thought Aunt Marlene helped with the house? That one made me sit up. I opened my spreadsheet, removed account numbers, and posted a simple summary. Diana, for anyone confused, here is what has been paid on the house since 2018. Property taxes paid by me. Homeowner's insurance paid by me. Utilities paid by me. Roof repair paid by me. Plumbing paid by me. Pest control and lawn care paid by me. Contributions from Marlene, Ray, or Travis $0. Marlene, how dare you humiliate me? Diana, I kept the lights on. You kept a story going. Travis, you didn't have to put numbers in the chat. Diana, no one is homeless because they lost access to a house they never had permission to live in. Then I left the group chat. Not muted. Left. Felt better than I expected. The next few weekends were harder in a quieter way. I had to clear the garage. For years, I had avoided it because the garage felt like Dad's brain had been turned into shelves. Paint cans from colors the walls hadn't been in 15 years. Folding chairs with duct tape on the legs. Christmas decorations nobody wanted to sort through. Fishing rods. Coffee cans of screws. A label maker still in the package because he had bought it on sale and then decided masking tape was superior. I kept his military footlocker, the recipe cards, his fishing hat, and one Steelers jacket that still smelled faintly like sawdust and old cologne. I donated tools I didn't need. I threw away broken clutter. I gave a few cousins a deadline to pick up anything that was actually theirs, and for the first time I did not offer to deliver it. One afternoon, sitting on the garage floor with dust on my jeans, I found the chili recipe again. More garlic than Marlene thinks is polite. I laughed and cried at the same time, which is apparently a thing your body does when it gives up trying to organize grief neatly. I realized keeping Dad's house frozen in time was not the same thing as keeping Dad. So I made a decision that would have horrified the old version of me, the one who thought love meant availability. I hired a property manager. She did a walkthrough, pointed out what needed fixing, and gave me a practical list. Professional cleaning, fresh neutral paint, replace 2 blinds, repair the deck railing, service the HVAC, a basic lease agreement, a screen tenant, and a security deposit. No relatives with spare keys just in case. The first time I saw the house after the cleaners finished, I almost didn't recognize it. Not because it had changed so much, but because it felt calm. No folding tables. No half-claimed storage piles. No one's guilt sitting in the corners. A month later, a tenant signed a legitimate lease. The first rent deposit hit my account on a Friday morning, while I was drinking coffee before work. I stared at the notification longer than necessary. It felt less like money and more like the house was finally breathing without my family's hands around its throat. Marlene still doesn't speak to me unless there is an audience, and even then, it is mostly icy little comments about legacy and what some people value. Travis moved in with a friend from work, not Nate, ironically. Carmen sent me one message 2 months later. Carmen, I am sorry. Travis told me it was shared family property. I should have asked more questions. I replied, I appreciate that. I hope things are better for you. And I meant it. I don't hate her. She trusted the wrong person and moved into the wrong story. Marlene and Travis, though, lost exactly what they were supposed to lose. Free access, public credibility, and the ability to use my silence as proof that they were right. The house is not a shrine anymore. It is not a family clubhouse. It is not a place where people can store broken furniture, rewrite ownership, or turn grief into leverage. It is a house my father protected for me because he knew I would protect it when the time came. I used to think family peace meant leaving the door unlocked. Now I know peace started the day the wrong people lost their key. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.